Well, hello, my friends. It's been a little bit since I've had a chance to record. I've been kind of sick, but I'm getting better. It's time for another fantastic story. This one from our friend Check Your Danish. And this one is called Hippie Pirate. I wanted to come up with some kind of, wonderful little Moonhorse quip for that, but I gotta be honest with you, I got nothing. That's a first for me. That's a first. So let's see what a hippie pirate is, shall we? Let's get into this together. Hey, Moonhorse.
Hey.
Possibly Sango, and the rest of the moon calls. I'm back yet again to share with you another Neckbeard tale from my teenage years. Some content warnings for things that I can't say within the first part of this video. Let's just say it's not great, and yeah. Hippie Pirate will be referred to as HP because I don't want to type out that whole name every single time, so here we go. Makes sense. Imagine, if you will, late 2005. Sorry, I was having flashback nightmares. Go on. The goth spot outside of the local high schools. I didn't know they had those. Teenagers smoking, chatting, generally being goth AF. One of them is really blonde. Oh wait, that's me. I'm there with my closest friends, A, J, and K. It's our lunch hour. 10th grade had just started, and even though we were too cool to express any actual emotion about it, we were pretty excited. Some of our friends had graduated in June, but would still come to visit occasionally, and most of the time, this was great. I have trouble recognizing faces, always have, so one day, when I thought someone I knew had walked up to visit, I walked over to say hello. Only, it was not that friend. No, this was someone new entirely, someone I'd never met before. The smell of this boy, sweet Jesus, the smell. The particular stank was one that I did not recognize, and quickly realized my mistake. He thought it was funny and asked if I had mistaken him for someone else. I laughed nervously and said, "Yeah, sorry, thought you were some other generic-looking mofo." Damn. I've got really bad face blindness. My friend Kay comes over to us and says, "Oh, Check Your Danish, you know HP? I wasn't sure you met or not." I'd begun responding to her, saying, "No, I'd actually just mistaken him for some when he cut me off." "No, this is the first time I've met. Yar." I shit you not, he said fucking yar. Why? I wasn't quite sure what to say to this, so I said nothing. HP turned to me and bowed. Boy, what? How do I do a neckbeard pirate voice? Okay, this is going to be a first for me, so hold on. I be HP, but everyone calls me Ducky. I just sound like Scrooge McDuck with a fucking head cold. But you can call me whatever you want. And he winks at me. Ducky, I asked? Like from 16 Candles? I love Molly Ringwald movies, so I know them well. For some context, if you're not familiar with this particular movie, I am, Ducky is not exactly a character you'd want to share a moniker with. True. He was the eccentric best friend of the main character, for whom he had been carrying a torch for ages. He was a mopey little shit because he never grew a pair and told the main character how he felt about her. And since she wasn't a mind reader, she dated other people, much to his chagrin. Cue him acting even more like a mopey little shit, being rude to her for not sitting on her hands and waiting for a nice guy like him to sweep her off her feet. He comes around eventually, but I don't want to give too much away. You can probably fill in the blanks yourself. If not, look into and possibly watch the movie. It's really, really good, even if it's quite dated. Some people find it problematic, so view at your own discretion. Yeah, I can't do the voice. I'm Ducky, he beamed. I guess I picked that nickname up because I always fell in love with the girls I can't have. Well, it's gonna be one of them, isn't it? This is gonna be one of them stories, isn't it? Okay. I'm down for it. Keep going. My friend Kay is one of those people who rolls her eyes so hard that you can almost hear/feel it if you're standing close enough for her. HP did not seem to notice, but I sure did. I turned to her, I see an annoyed smirk on her face, and she looks me in the eye and took me by the hand and said, "Come with me to my locker. Bell's gonna ring anyway. Bye, HP." And off we went. I thought it was strange because we had at least another 10 minutes before the first bell was set to ring. "He's an interesting one," I said. "You should stay away from him," Kay replied sharply and almost emotionlessly. "What? Why? Is he not as nice as he comes off?" I ask. Careful, it's learning. "He's fine if there are people around. Just don't ever put yourself in a position where you'll be alone with him. Kay and I are the people who you look straight in the eye when they speak to you, regardless of how serious the subject of the conversation is. But this was intense eye contact. My stomach dropped a little at what crossed my mind. Kay, I hope you're not telling me that he's done something to hurt you," I said, holding her hand. No, she responds to my relief. "Nothing like that, but people have said some things about him. Just keep that in mind. A lot of rumors are bullshit, but some have a grain of truth behind them." This was a few months after my interactions with MC Daywalker. I remember that story. So I took her advice very, very seriously. A couple weeks later, my friend A and I are sitting outside in the sun. 10th grade was the first year we had spares, and we just so happened to have a spare for the last period of every Thursday. I don't know what that is, but I assume it means like a free period. I never had those. My school sucked. We were talking about our new class, talking about what we should do with our exciting new slots of free time, when a musty, unwashed pirate ship docked off. I'm joking, but HP did walk up to where we were sitting. He greeted us with a, "Ahoy, ladies." Bruh. "What are you two delicate creatures doing out here on such a fine day?" Delicate creatures. Oh. I didn't know this was what cringe felt like yet. "Hey, HP, I replied. "We're not doing much, just relaxing on our spare. I'll be honest, I know you said HP to shorten this, but every time you say that, I think about the computer brand." "Oh, yes, I was accosted by Hewlett-Packard." "Who the hell is this?" asked A, ever honest and filterless. "Oh, sorry, A, this is HP, A." He bowed to her as he did to me when we first met, and she straight up laughed at him. He took this as a compliment, and it emboldened him to ask, "You ladies want to get corrupted?" Boy! We looked at each other, A laughed and blurted out, "Yeah, sure, let's do that." "Alright then," HP announced. "Follow me, fair maidens, and I'll take you on an adventure." Is he like a presenter at like a Ren Fair? Like, is this man going to lead you into the treasure cave? What the fuck is going on with this dude? I wasn't alone, and A was, and still is, a friend I always feel safe with. She had convinced me to start coming to kickboxing and Muay Thai with her. This was still a mistake, however. We walked with him for about 30 minutes before we arrived at the place he called home, the upstairs portion of a small, long-since shut-down tattoo shop with rat in the name. We walked in, and an older guy with long hair greeted us. "Hey there, girls. You look a bit young. You guys have ID?" he asked us politely. "Oh, they're not here for tattoos. They're with me," HP boasted. "We're gonna hang out upstairs," as he led us towards an ancient-looking staircase. I obviously had no tattoos at this point, but still knew this was not a place I would come for one. This house looked like it was about to fall apart. When we got upstairs, it looked exactly how you might imagine the living quarters of a 19-year-old guy who fancied himself a pirate would look. Not particularly dirty, but also definitely not clean. Yep. Musty from the lack of insulation in the walls in the old house. HP opened the windows and welcomed us to his living space. "Have you ever smoked pot?" he asked, as he was rolling up a joint. "I have," replied A. I just shook my head, embarrassed that I was the only one who had never tried it. HP smirked at me. "Well, today's the day. Pop your cherry for that." He laughed loudly at his own joke, while A and I sat silently. "I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about pot and how to avoid conflict while using it." "What, are you going to fight it?" What? He said, trying to sound supportive and non-threatening, but rather coming off as condescending. "You want to avoid smoking a joint with anybody you think might get into a fight with, because pot makes people just as aggressive as alcohol, if not more." I mean, I don't know about that, but okay, dude. HB tried explaining some things to us that just didn't quite sound right, and later on turned out to be bullshit. Yeah, the only thing it did for me was made my anxiety worse, but for most people I know, it just made them really chill. So, I've never seen anybody actually get into a fight after they smoke a joint. That's never really a thing. I guess he was just trying to make himself sound smart and experienced. He sparked the thing and then passed it to A, who took a decent-sized pull, and then passed it to me. "Make sure you don't singe your hair on it," she said, the first helpful suggestion that was shared since we had arrived here. I took a tiny puff and was surprised when I didn't hack my lungs out like people did in the movies and they try smoking for the first time. The little joint made its round a couple more times, and I didn't think it was affecting me until A tapped me on the shoulder and asked, "You good?" And I realized how hard it, in fact, had hit me. HP had been talking the whole time, and I just kind of tuned him out. She was trying really hard not to laugh at me, but was not doing a very good job. HP leaned over, way too close, and tried to sound seductive, I guess, and he asked, "So does that stuff make you wet?" I threw up in my mouth a little bit. I'm sorry. That's fucking disgusting. "I'm sorry, what?" I asked. HP laughed and said, "Are you high yet? What did you think I said?" I don't even remember now," I said, trying and failing to stifle my own laughter. HP spent about 30 minutes trying to convince us that he was this deep-thinking intellectual who didn't believe in things like car culture and how communism was just better all around. Oh, he's one of those. We were learning about how communism destroyed numerous countries and millions of lives. A and I are both in AP history, but we kept this to ourselves. HP then started to ask us sneaky, invasive questions, and getting more and more frustrated the more questions and remarks went over our heads because, well, we're about as high as kites. Eventually, A pulled out the EBP emergency bail protocol for when we really wanted to get out of a social situation. "Oh shit, man, I forgot we both have work tonight. We better get out of here, we're gonna be late," she said. That line turned us both into Oscar-winning actresses who hated social interaction. "Oh, you're right. I gotta go home and grab my uniform," I replied, grabbing my backpack off the floor. HP did not like this and suggested that we were just too high and we should just call in sick so we could stay and hang out longer so he could take care of us. What? That's when the horror movies music starts. Just FYI. I'm sure I didn't put any in this video because I know me and I know I'm lazy, but at the same time, just imagine it. Just imagine it. Never stopped getting ready to leave, getting my stuff together, all the while saying, "Sorry, man, my parents would kick my ass if I skip work tonight." And A and I left, much to HP's disapproval. We were each still working our first jobs at different fast food restaurants, but neither of us actually worked that night. We just went back to my house, raided the fridge, and watched cartoons. The walk there was fun and exciting, and we slept like babies that night. The next day at school, A and I had almost forgotten about it until we saw each other and we started laughing, trying to remember what happened. Our friend Jay came up to us saying someone was looking for us. When we asked who it was, Jay just shrugged and responded, "I don't know, some Jack Sparrow-looking mofo. Sure smells how Jack Sparrow probably would too. He got that months at sea stank." I like this dude. Jay is away with words, and he's one of the best friends I ever had. Love him to death. Imagine the cutest puppy you've ever seen, dressed as a goth with spiky hair, black eyeliner, and a grumpy face, and that's Jay. A and I decided to go say hi, a move I regret now. We made our way outside, still having plenty of time before the bell rang to see that smelly mofo. First period hadn't even started yet, and he was trying to convince us to skip again. We didn't skip yesterday. We were on our spare," A explained to him. He began to try to persuade us. "Well, you should skip today and come back to my place again." No matter how many times we told him that we couldn't today, he just wouldn't accept it. Side note, when someone refuses to accept when you tell them no, that is a big old red flag. It means they might not have respect for you. Yeah, big time. Eventually, he got mad and stormed off. Jay asked me, "What the hell was that all about?" So A and I told him about what happened. "Wow, what a creeper," Jay replied. "Why the hell does he go by Ducky? Does he mean that dude from the Molly Ringwald movie? That guy was a chode." I shrugged and replied, "It's a nickname he was given a while back and has been trying to get rid of. I have no idea where it specifically came from, but yeah. One of our older friends, who had far more run-ins with HP, overheard this and laughed. Oh my god, is that really what he told you? You really want to know where HP got his nickname from? He gave it to himself and insisted that everyone call him that. Now he acts like someone else gave him the nickname. Hell if I know why, but it's weird and sad, but kind of funny. Bruh, don't give yourself a nickname. That's weird. We didn't refer to him as Ducky again because we weren't sure if we were humoring him or not. And even in high school, we didn't want to encourage that kind of attention-hungry bullshit. I would see HP here and there sometimes, and never really thought much of it. We never went back to his place again because, quite frankly, the smell was too much, and it was clearly a bad idea. He never stopped trying to get us to come back with him, though, and he never stopped failing at it. As years went on, he really zeroed in on me, and he would ask me to go back on my own. I kept in mind what Kay had told me, and always declined. And since I was a teenage girl, I was a master of giving lame excuses for why I couldn't do something. As I got older, he would ask me out on what I guess he thought were dates. Walking around downtown at night. My hometown wasn't as bad as it is now, but downtown's not a place you wanted to go after dark. Smoking pot in dangerous places, trespassing, sneaking out at night. I always politely declined, and he always acted like a bit of a piss baby about it. Then one day, A had changed up her signature look to something pretty different. I guess HP didn't recognize her because he walked right up beside her while looking at me and put his arm around her shoulder and asked, "Who's your cute friend?" A plucked his hand off her shoulder, like one would pluck their dog's poops from the ground in the little bag, and said, "Oh, we've met. You wanted to corrupt us, remember me now?" HP's face turned white as a sheet. "Oh, it's you. I didn't recognize you." She rolled her eyes and laughed at his discomfort. Every interaction we had with him was odd, but after this one, A told me something that scared me. "So, you should probably avoid him from now on," A said, not a shred of doubt in her tone. "Why? What happened?" I asked, already uncomfortable. We sat down and she said, "Rumor has it that he does what he did with us, with other girls, and then tries to sleep with them." I fucking knew that was going to come out. I called that right away. Fucking creep. I wasn't quite sure what she meant. Well, yeah, I imagine he does that with older girls. Everyone at or around this school knows that you're a lesbian, so I don't think he's going to bother you. It was true. A was one of the first girls to really come out as a lesbian in our school and in our age group in general. No, it hasn't stopped him. Some guys hear lesbian and think challenge. Yeah, some fucking assholes do that. It's disgusting. Anyway, it's not me he's after, she clarified. It's you. I was profoundly uninterested in him in that way, so I kind of laughed at this suggestion. You don't have to worry about me. He is really, really not my type. A's face turned a bit grim when she added, "That's apparently not something he lets get in his way." Wow. I remember what Kay had told me previously. Kay said not to be alone with him. Is this related to that? A took a deep breath and let out a sigh. Rumor is that he gets girls stoned off their asses until they're too out of it to process what's going on, or they pass out, and then he does things to them. Here I thought he was just a creepy goofball, now I think he needs to be fucking locked up. Well, that went and changed my mind real quick, didn't it? That made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Really? But he seems so nice, I said, fucking naively, that I wish I could reach through a time portal and smack myself in the face. Well, yeah, insisted A. That's how he gets your guard down. And then he gets the smoke in you, and then... She didn't need to say more. I knew that I didn't want to ever be around him again. To think how close we might have come to that one time. What if one of us had passed out? What if both of us had passed out? I try not to sit on the what-if bits too much. It's a recipe for anxiety, in my experience. But learning from the what-ifs is a completely different story. Learning from them is the crucial point. A few years on, after I graduated, HP reappeared. I guess he had gotten a whiff of me turning 18 and decided to try again to be a nice guy. He and I talked over text, and it seemed as though he had changed quite a bit, really grown as a person, chilled out quite a lot too. We went to the park a couple times and just sat on the grass talking. It was kind of nice. Then when he tried to put the moves on me, mind you, he was a lot more subtle, I obviously began to reject him because I had a boyfriend of 2 years at this point. He, of course, not having changed nearly as much as I had wanted to give him credit for, acted like a piss baby once again and fucked off out of my life for another couple of years. The difference here was I never put myself in a position where I felt unsafe in, never hung out with him anywhere other than public places in broad daylight, and I never had more than 1 or 2 puffs when one of us brought a joint to share. I told A about what happened, and she informed me that HP had caught wind of her telling people about that rumor and had threatened her. Classy. Long story short, there's a restraining order put in place, and he was banned from ever contacting her again. Wish I'd thought to do that. A few years later, in my early 20s, I was in another long-term relationship, and HP reached out to me again. His dad had just passed away, and he was really struggling. Google search confirmed that his dad had in fact actually passed away, so I decided to try and be supportive, taking my own safety into consideration, of course. We went for walks here and there, talked, smoked the occasional J, and it seemed like we were actually on the road to being friends again. I was a bit naive at this time, I know. Just when things were starting to look really good, the weirdness started to surface yet again. I was mentioning to HP that my boyfriend at the time and I had moved in together, and he had given me quite the scare the other day. HP cuts me off mid-sentence and asks, "A pregnancy scare?" No, a scare with his allergies. He has severe peanut allergy and said something about his throat feeling tightened. "Oh," he interrupted again. Any interest he had in the conversation just gone. "Well, I'm glad it turned out to be nothing." I didn't think much of it. Although it hadn't really turned out to be nothing, I just decided I didn't really want to retell the story of how I had to rush my boyfriend to the hospital after stabbing him in the thigh with an EpiPen. Blue to the sky, orange to the thigh. It can save a life. I didn't know that, but now I do. A couple weeks later, I was set to give him a ride to his job, so I texted him about an hour prior. Nothing special, just, "Hey, ready for later today? I'll be there about 45 to pick you up." He responded with the nastiest, and unfortunately the highest def photo I'd ever seen on a crappy flip phone of a big honkin' boner, and him saying, "Sure, I might need help dealing with this first, though." What a fucking asshole. Disgusting. I was disgusted. Yeah, me too. I texted him back and told him find another ride to work. He immediately called me apologizing and promising that it was meant for someone else. Uh-huh. He begged me to still help him out because it was his first day, and if he was late, he'd lose his job. I told him, fine, but no more of that or your ass is walking. I arrived to pick him up, and he acted like nothing had happened, which, in hindsight, might have helped to ease the awkwardness. He managed to act normal and asked sheepishly if I could pick him up afterwards around 9:30. I had a shift later at this point and wouldn't be getting out till probably around 10, so I tried to insinuate that it was an inconvenient time for me. He said that he could make his way to my work and wait for me to finish. I had already worked up morning shift by this point, and I was desperate to go home and have my nap. "Fine," I said, and he lit up and tried to suggest that he could help me finish up at the end of my shift. "I work with seniors at a retirement lodge. That's not going to work." I told him point blank. "Oh, but I love old people. I think I'm an old soul," he bragged. "Oh, we'll be out of there in a flash." "No, you're not getting it," I impolitely explained. "You need HCA certification and major training to even do my job. And even before any of that, you have to pass not only a criminal background check, but also a vulnerable sector check in order to work this job. Bringing you in and doing what you suggested would cost me my job, and would be at least one HIPAA violation, and could result in charges on both of us, so no." He looked confused. "What's a vulnerable sector check?" Common question, although it's pretty self-explanatory. It's another criminal background check they do, to check crimes committed against seniors, children, people with mental or physical limitations, etc. Anyone who's vulnerable, basically exactly what it sounds like. I looked over from the road to see his face, and he had this worried expression. Well, I guess that's not the best place for me, then." He laughed nervously. "Uh-oh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all." I was so tired and cranky and wanting him out of my car at that moment that I haven't even registered how creepy that was. I dropped him off, went home, and had my lovely nap. Later that evening, I was finishing up my shift at the old folks' home, and I noticed a familiar voice in the coffee lounge area. Lots of voices sound familiar here, I thought, but this one is not one I'm used to hearing. Oh, fuck, no he didn't. I was instantly pissed off when I realized it was HP's voice. He had totally disregarded every single thing I told him, and knowingly risked my job because he wanted to show me what an old soul he was. Dude, you fucking prick. He was sitting with a couple of residents, sipping tea and chatting with them like he had known them for years. The residents he was speaking to turned to me and said, "Oh, your boyfriend is charming." HP looked at me with a nervous smile. I swear to fucking God, I probably had smoke coming out of my ears. I looked at my client with the friendly, gentle face I put on for them and said sweetly, "Actually, it's not my boyfriend, he's just a friend." My boyfriend would know better than to come to my job and think any friend of mine would know better than to do something that could cost me my job. My gaze shifted over to HP, who could now tell that I was angry with my friendly face disappearing. "Time to go," I said sharply. He tried opening the driver's side door for me, and I told him, "Get out of the fucking way. Just get in the car, buckle up, and shut up." He did as he was told for once in his fucking life. He started trying to apologize, and for once, I was the one who cut him off mid-sentence. "You're not sorry. You knew exactly why you weren't supposed to be there. I explained it to you very clearly. You'd better hope that I don't get a call from my supervisor about this." He tried to, I guess, ease my worry. He said, "It'll be okay. If you want, I can talk to your supervisor and clear everything up." Are you fucking kidding me? The only thing you can do to try and fix this is not fucking do anything. Nothing you can do will fix this. We drove in silence for a few minutes. When we arrived at his house, he said, "I have a surprise for you. You should come in and see." I snapped back at him. "It is 10 at night. I have to get up at 5 to be at work at 6 tomorrow morning. I'm going home and I'm going to bed." But he insisted, "Oh, please, it's to thank you for helping me with a ride today, so the least I could do." He actually sounded like he understood that he had messed up and genuinely wanted to do something nice for me. So my dumbass said, "Alright, fine, I'll come in for a minute, but I really do need to get home." A huge smile stretched across his mug, and he said, I promise you won't regret it." I walked into his apartment behind him. He told me, "Wait just a moment." I agreed, but gently reminded him to be as quick as possible because I need to go home and sleep. He scurried off to his bedroom, and I could hear him moving things around. I waited probably 10 minutes before he opens the door crack and calls for me to come see. I was starting to fall asleep standing up, and I admit my judgment was not the best at this moment. I shuffled over to peek into the room. Remember how I decided to give HP the benefit of the doubt and trust that he just wanted to do something nice, and maybe had even finally taken the hint that I would never date him? Yeah? Well, guess what? I was fucking wrong. I peeked into the room to see HP on his bed in a silk robe which was open at the front with the same greasy weasel from the photo he had texted to me hanging out, candles lit, some cheesy Barry White-esque music playing, and a disco ball hanging from the ceiling. I just died a little inside. I was not prepared for that. What the actual fuck? I looked him in his stupid face and asked him, "What the hell are you doing, HP?" He smirked and said, "Paying you back. You look like you could use a massage. Why don't you get comfy and change into this?" He held out a matching silk robe. "I'll start at your head. After a couple hours, I'll get to your toes." Boy. All this was said in what I'm guessing is his most flirtatious, seductive, irresistible voice. I was so fucking done by this point. I just laughed. "HP, I'm going home. Don't ever contact me again. And if you know what's good for you, don't fucking dare show up at my work again. Ever." He didn't seem to hear me. "See how stressed you are? I'm trying to help you relax and make you feel so good." Every time you guys get me to do the seductive Neckbeard voice, I die a little inside. It's worth it, but I'm fading away. He said, equally as confident as before, "Your boyfriend doesn't have to know. This could be our secret. Who wants to be with a guy who gets laid out by a Reese's cup anyway?" You should go ahead and strangle him now. You should just go ahead. I walked up to him. I put my face about 5 inches from his and looked him dead in the eyes. "This friendship is over. You've never been a friend. I see that now. You've never been a friend. All you've ever been is a fucking predator. Leave me alone. Do not contact me again." I'm not exactly sure what he thought would happen, but he reached up and grabbed my boobs and blurted out, "I'll start here. Every woman loves having their tits rubbed. Just let me give you this massage and it'll..." My hand reacted faster than my brain did, and I backhanded him so hard. Cat Williams, the tiny pimp, would be proud of me. Uncle Moonhorse is very proud of you. That was a brilliant act of violence. Ever seen a small blonde woman in a Hello Kitty scrub backhand someone? I imagine it's a sight to behold. I left, got home, blocked his number from which he had sent me numerous texts that I did not bother to read, and went to bed. There's one more incident over Facebook, which is pretty hilarious. I had forgotten to delete him, and a couple days later, I had made a post about being discouraged about something or other, and this douchebag comments, "Sounds like your boyfriend doesn't do it as a job. He needs to do better for you." Oh, what a charming fucking gentleman. It turned into an argument of me telling him to mind his own business, and nobody asked him, to him whining about, "Well, you never text me anymore, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you text me first for a change?" I decided to be incredibly honest. I replied to that with, "Well, maybe it's because this is what I got the last time I texted you first," and included the picture of his wang that he sent me, but was meant for someone else. My friends who had been commenting on the post all ganged up on him and told him that he was a disgusting pig, and it was no wonder that I didn't want to be around him. He blocked me, and that's where it ended. He tried chatting me up a couple times since then, but whatever his stupid name shows up on my message request, I just delete it and block him again. He seems to follow the Jeepers Creepers formula of every so and so years it wakes up and then it's time for it to such and such. It's usually about every 3 years that he tries to befriend me once more. And it's getting to be that time. Jeepers Creepers, don't want to see your peepers. Jeepers Creepers, motherfucking why? The process of typing this out was the most thought I've given to him in years. While typing this out was almost therapeutic. I feel like I need a shower now. You probably do too. That's the tale of stank-ass pirate who thought he was a Casanova. I hope you all enjoyed, and thank you, Uncle Moonhorse and Auntie Sango, for reading another one of my stories. Well, thank you for sending it in. This was quite magical. I don't know what I expected to happen, but this was something. I am once again floored by your fantastic wordsmithing, and this guy, oh my god, this creepy motherfucker. That is just, it's too good. The cringe is everywhere. This is so much the fucking nice guy that I am surprised. You hear stories about people like this, and you're like, oh, this is someone writing a story about, like, you know, the possible, or like the, you know, the theoretical nice guy. No, he really exists, and here he is, schlong on display for all of Facebook to see, apparently. Oh, how magical. This fucking guy, I just, oh my gosh. That is a hell of a story, and if he does ever show up again, I don't know that he will, but if he does, well, now you won't be the only one to know about him, so at least there's that. I don't know what else to add to this. This was just so perfect on its own that I just had to share this with all of you. So, thank you all for being a part of this. I'm still just laughing over all of this. If you enjoyed this, and I certainly hope you did, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And double check your subscriptions. You know, sometimes YouTube likes to unsubscribe people from things that they subscribe to for reasons. Thanks, Susan. Real fucking cool. If you would like to support this channel, I have a merch store. We just added some new designs to it, so you can go check those out. And I have a Ko-Fi. There's some weird goals on there, and it now has a monthly thing. You can join one of the many tiers. Become a part of the Moon Cult or the Harlot Squad today. Those are some of the weird tiers I put on there. These websites give me power, and sometimes I just straight up abuse it. That's, yeah, If you have your own fantastic story to send in, feel free. It's my subreddit, r/Moonhorse Stories. You can send it there. You can send a lot of things there, but that's one of the many things you can send. So, you know, I'll check it out. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you all in the next video. I love you all so very, very much. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.